Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 9, the IVE ending. Please take a second to gather your materials. You'll need your purple book, open to page 59. You'll also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark up on the board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key. If you don't have space here, a separate sheet of paper is fine. If at any point I'm going too fast, please pause the video and catch up. All right, so last week we started studying common endings. We looked at endings like ICE, ILE, INE, and we noticed that those endings show up a lot in bigger words. And they don't have the long vowel sound. Same thing this week. We have IVE. Now, in a small word, it would say IVE, like in dive or live, but not in these bigger words. Because this chunk is showing up in an unstressed syllable, the rules are going to be a little bit different. Okay? Let's start by reading our list. Please repeat after me. Abrasive, adjective, attractive, constructive, creative, detective, effective, exclusive, expensive, impressive, incentive, narrative, negative, objective, perspective, positive, productive, protective, relative, selective. We have some great words here this week. Lots of good vocab. All right, but they're big words, so let's do what we always do and break our words into syllables, starting with abrasive. We're going to slice after the A. After the A, and then after the A again. Adjective, after the D, and after the C. Notice you don't even hear that C in there, right? Attractive, after the T, and after the C. Constructive, after the N, and after the C. Creative, after the E, and after the A. Detective, after the E and after the C. Effective, between the double F's and after the C. Exclusive, after the X and after the U. Expensive, after the X and after the N. Impressive, after the M and between the double S's. Incentive, after the N and after the N. Narrative, between the R's and after the A. Negative, after the G and the A. Objective, after the B and the C. Perspective, after the R and the C. Positive, after the S and the I. Productive, after the O and after the C. Protective, after the O and after the C. Relative, after the L and after the A. And selective, after the E, select, and after the C. Okay, in our key, red vertical line equals syllable break. Okay, let's choose another color and let's find our stressed syllables. That's the part we say a little louder and a little stronger. Abrasive, adjective, attractive, constructive, creative, detective, effective. Most of our words so far are stressed in the middle syllable. Exclusive, expensive, impressive, incentive, narrative, we go back to the beginning, negative, to the beginning. Objective, perspective. Positive, back to the beginning. Productive, protective. Relative, back at the beginning. And selective in the middle. Purple check mark equals stressed syllable. Okay, now breaking our words into syllables helps us find a bunch of prefixes. So let's review a few of those, okay? Let's start with at. At is a prefix that means towards. Tract means pull, right? So if a person is attractive, you are pulled towards them, right? Your attention, you want to look at them, right? Magnets are attractive. They pull each other, okay? So attractive just means, I mean, usually we use it to mean good looking. That's probably the most common meaning, but anything attractive pulls you towards it. The prefix con or kun can mean with or together. So if you have a constructive meeting, it means everybody worked together, right? So for constructive, we could say, hey, that was a helpful meaning because everybody worked together. The prefix X means out, right? So if something is exclusive, most people can't have it, right? Most people are excluded. Most people are shut out. So if something's exclusive, it's just for the chosen few. Just for the chosen few. Everybody else is shut out. Okay, do I have any more prefixes I want to talk about? Yes, pro. Okay, pro means forward. So if you're productive, you're getting work done. You're moving forward, right? So at, con, ex, pro. There are other prefixes this week as well, but we're just going to start with those. So those are some prefixes. Now I want to talk about our endings because IVE is more than just a common ending. It's also what we call a derivational suffix. A derivational suffix is added to the end of a word to change its part of speech. So for instance, the word attract is a verb, right? Something that attracts you, pulls you to it. If something's attractive, you are drawn to it. So if changes the verb attract to the adjective attractive. To construct something means to build, right? If a meeting is constructive or criticism is constructive, advice is constructive, it helps you build, right? We're changing the verb to an adjective. Create becomes creative. If you affect change, it means you make stuff happen. You are effective. If you exclude people, you shut them out. You are being exclusive. If something requires you to expend a lot of money, it is expensive. If something impresses you, it is impressive. If something, well, this is more of a noun, and this can be a noun. If you negate something, you make it negative. If you produce something, you are being productive. If you protect someone, you are being protective. And if you are careful about what you select, you are being selective. So in all these cases, we have a derivational suffix. Where'd my black marker go? We have a derivational suffix It's a big fancy word. Derivational suffix. And what it's doing is it's changing a verb to an adjective. Okay? Now, every once in a while, it can change a verb to a noun. So a person who's really good at detecting stuff is a detective. And narrative's tricky because it can be an adjective or a noun. But if something is narrated to you, it is a narrative. It is a story. And then incentive is also a noun. An adjective is also a noun, although I can't tell you what that means. That's not a verb that we use, at least today. And then this actually is a verb. Abrade. If something abrades, it is abrasive. So this is also a derivational suffix. But this time, it's changing a verb to a noun. Okay? You are going to have more practice changing your verbs to adjectives and nouns when you get to page 62. Okay? For all of these words, you are going to take words like attract, construct, create, and change them to attractive, constructive, creative. One thing I want you to notice, though, when you take a word that ends with E, like create, and you add the suffix "iv", you have to drop the E. Just like you had to drop the E for other vowel suffixes, like ed and ing, you have to drop it with creative because "iv" starts with a vowel. So just remember that with creative. Narrate, when you change it to narrative, drop the E. When you change negate to negative, drop the E. When you change relate to relative, drop the E. Okay? All right, real quick, let's go through some of our vocab. So if something is abrasive, it scratches easily. Like a Brillo pad. And some cleansers, they're abrasive, so you got to be really careful. You're not going to use them to scrub your fine crystal or it'll scratch. An adjective, you know, that's a describing word. We talked about attractive, constructive. Creative, I think you know, if someone's creative, they have lots of original ideas. A detective is someone who solves mysteries. Person who solves mysteries. If something is effective, it means it works, right? It has the desired effect. Like, oh, that was effective, that worked. We talked about exclusive. Expensive means lots of money. Impressive makes you feel like, wow. So for impressive, makes you say, wow. Okay? An incentive is like a reward. It's something you work towards, right? So if kids work really hard at school, maybe as an incentive, their teacher says, hey, get your work done and I'll give you extra recess. That extra recess is an incentive. It's something you want to work towards. It's a reward. A narrative is a story, okay? We have different types of writing. We have poetry, we have expository writing, and then we have narrative writing. Narratives are written in story structure, character, setting, problem. Negative means like the opposite of positive, right? So we have negative numbers and we have positive numbers. We have negative people who are always looking at the worst. And then we have positive people who are always looking at the best, okay? So there's our positive sign, there's our negative sign. Positive person tries to be happy. Negative person spends a lot of time looking at the dark side. All right, if you are objective, you are making decisions without opinions or feelings, right? You try to be neutral and objective. Your perspective, well, spect means see or watch. So your perspective is your way of seeing things. So for perspective, I know we're running out of room, is your way of seeing things. We talked about positive, we talked about productive, right? If you're productive, you get work done, you produce stuff. Protective means you're trying to keep someone or something safe. A relative is a family member. That's the most common meaning of relative. You can also use it as an adjective. We could say, well, you know, happiness is relative. It depends on the situation. And then if you are selective, that means you are choosy or picky. All right, guys, lots of great vocab this week, but I know you have it. You'll do fine. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.